Hi there, and welcome to this week's edition of In the Huddle with Molly Miller, your weekly look inside Arizona State women's basketball. I'm Jeff Munn, and we have another big-time show scheduled this week. We're going to get right to it by welcoming in the head coach of ASU women's basketball in her James Harden attire, if I'm not mistaken, head coach Molly Miller. Hi, Coach.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. You?
I'm feeling good. Look good, feel good,
That's
play good.
the
That's what they say.
whole key. Another week, and we talked about this at the end of the game on Sunday. This league is proving to be, every conference in the country will say, oh, we're the toughest. No, this is the toughest conference in the country, the Big 12.
Well, top to bottom, there's so much parity and so much movement and so much any given day type mentality, and that's reigned true throughout what we've seen in the Big 12. And then when you pull up scores, you're like, whoa, upset, 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 upset. There's really no upsets anymore. It's just which team played their best game against a team that maybe was slightly more deficient in areas. And I think that's what makes the conference exciting throughout the year. There's not a set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, those can mix and mingle as much or as little in the next month and a half as you can imagine.
Speaking of exciting, since we visited with you last on this show, there was a little matter at Desert Financial Arena involving that school down south. And ASU won that little matter with the school down south. And there's a lot of things we can talk about from that game, but I got to start with the atmosphere. 6,121 fans. Just, I can't say enough about how great an atmosphere the building was that night.
Yeah, it was really neat to see history made once again. There's just a feeling that there's a sense of buzz, there's a sense of momentum, and for our fans to want to come along that ride and propel us and do it with us, there's something to be said about that commitment. And I've always believed that the brand is fun to watch, especially fun to watch when you're beating your rival. It just means a little bit more, but the sense of competitiveness is what I loved about that game. And we have very savvy fans. They cheer at the right time. They counter cheer at the right time.
Yes.
I love their energy and enthusiasm.
The thing that impressed me, and I took the step of posting about this on social media the next day, was both schools' fan bases. I thought they were terrific. We didn't hear of any issues in the stands. Everybody kept it in check, but they kept the enthusiasm and the energy at top levels. So the fans really deserve a tip of the cap, both schools, for the way they conducted themselves that night.
Absolutely. I'm a little partial to ours.
Yes,
I'll
we
give
all
ours
are.
the nod, but it's a unique situation. Both schools have new head coaches, so kind of flipping a new chapter. So that's unique in itself, kind of a cool storyline with Stephanie Norman and Becky Burke, being at Louisville. There's a cool storyline there. So many more storylines to come. Speaking of storylines, Makayla Moore, this is something I'll remember for the rest of my coaching career. I walk in the locker room getting ready to do my whiteboard pregame talk, and I see these pieces of paper that look like old newspapers. I mean, she went above and beyond. She, by herself, did this whole article on what the rivalry meant, what the Territorial Cup meant, the records, the past. Here's someone that couldn't directly impact the game by getting out on the floor because of her injury, but it mattered to her, and she cared so much about this game. She wanted to make sure we were informed because a lot of us had not experienced this. The majority of us had not experienced this rivalry. So for Makayla to do that, that fired me up so much. I'm like, all right, let's go. Like, I saw that and I read that, and I know her teammates were fired up too. So that's just a testament to these kids and who they are and how much they care. And I know Mick's on the show tonight, so it might be fun to hear from her what sparked that.
You talked about the introduction to the rivalry, and I know we touched on it a little bit last week, but I saw your reaction at the end of the game, and I know how important that game was to you personally. I know it's always about the team, but I was so impressed with how bought in you understand this. You didn't have to be told. And I know part of it is you've been in town for a number of years. But as you say, it's one thing to see it from a distance. To get in the middle of it is an entirely different deal. And I could tell right away that you knew exactly what was at stake.
Yeah, no, if you can't get fired up for a game like that, you don't have a pulse. It's not something that we take lightly. And there's some bragging rights, but there's some pride. Any player that steps on that court, when you play a rival, there's pride involved. So I was happy for our fans. I was happy for our kids, but it does mean a little bit more. And then, you got to go up there and play them again. So you understand what this is like, what it feels like. And it's probably a multiplier of a million if you're on the other side of it. So we got to be able to refocus and take care of business like we did the first time.
On that subject, there will be a booster bus that goes to Tucson on February the 14th. It is an early game. It starts at 11 o'clock in the morning, so the bus will leave very early. You can get all the details at the SunDevils.com women's basketball page. And we would love to see as many of you in maroon and gold at McHale Center, actually more than the red and blue that was in Desert Financial last Wednesday, especially since Becky Burke said, we play in that kind of environment all the time. And I know it was all in good fun, but just the same, go to the webpage, find out about the details. It's a tradition to have the booster bus, and we would love for you to come down there and put as much maroon and gold into the stands. And the other, yeah, absolutely. The other thing is that we look at, and we'll have time in the final segment to really zero in terms of X's and O's about the upcoming opponents. But you look at the remaining home games, there's a lot there for the fans to get excited about. You've got an Oklahoma State team that's playing well. You get a rematch with a Utah team that you beat at the last second on New Year's Eve. I mean, you just go down the line. There's so much more waiting at home for our fans at Desert Financial.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's hard to think there's only 4 more home games here. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess. But it's a good chance to – we need that rally of the sixth man. I mean, I think there's a total advantage, a home court advantage, when you can have loud fans in the building. And those games are going to be huge for us. I mean, obviously, starting with Oklahoma State and then, like I said, Utah, BYU, and ending with Houston, all are so important, not one more than the other. So come out, bring a friend, bring your neighbor, bring your hairdresser, bring your dog walker, anyone that you can think of, invite them to the game.
Absolutely. And you can go to the SunDevils.com and find out about tickets, about the upcoming schedule. Let's talk about players. A very strong weekend for a number of your players. One of our guests tonight, Gabby Elliott, and she just continues to demonstrate a toughness. I will say this. We have Briann January on the show tonight. I see a lot of similarities in terms of toughness, in terms of talent, ability between Briann January and Gabby. It's not fair to make comparisons, but I see a lot of similarities.
I have a feeling their mindset is the same.
Yeah.
They're not going to be denied, if you will, and that's very much how Gabby approaches the game. She's a hooper, and you can tell the kids that really have a deep love for the game and love to play basketball. And she's one of them, doesn't like to lose, really competitive. I think she's learning the leadership of bringing her teammates to that level. She knows she can't do it by herself and needs everyone. But she has been steady Eddie for us. She's consistent. She doesn't get too high. She doesn't get too low. So she's really reliable out on the court. And I think has played some of her best defensive games these past few weeks, and that's good for me to see also because you want her offensive capabilities to be complemented on the defensive side for her to become a complete player, and we're seeing that with her.
You've got a lot of players on your roster that fit into that category of they love to play basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I just left the gym, and Marley's shooting. She's in there getting up extra shots. Kids who don't love the game aren't staying after in February. And we talked about this as a team. You don't want your tears in March to be your regrets in February. So February's are the dog days of season. I mean, there's 2 ways you can go. It's a long season. You could just check a box, check in and check out. That's not what this team is going to be. And I have faith after even a good conversation today in the locker room, like we all have to be on the same page. This stops at some point for this team. This is fleeting. And so you've got to love the game to be all in. There's a big sacrifice involved this time of year, and we all need to feel that and come together as a team to be able to achieve our goals.
That's reflected to me as I've watched your team all year in the way that they approach. We talked about this too. No quit. It doesn't matter the circumstances, what the score differential is, what the game situation is. They're going to play at high energy level all the time, and that goes in concert with what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, typical coaches speak. I I'm not about moral victories, but if I do like the way we had a no quit attitude there in the fourth quarter against Kansas State. And if there's something, I'm glad the crowd appreciates that too, because we've got to be able to string that together for 40 minutes, but we could have laid down. I mean, the chances of us winning that ball game at that point in time, probably the odds weren't in our favor, but we threw odds out the window and kept fighting and kept pushing, and that's what this team needs to do. I think the sign of the best teams is how you bounce back and how you handle that resiliency and come back for the next one. And, proud of our kids for the way they stuck with it. We've got a coach back in my jury days. He coached the men's team, Coach Steve Hesser. He always said, you got to scratch where it itches. And, that's something we need to do better of. They were hitting 3 after 3 after 3 after 3, and we needed to stop the 3-point shot. So there's some lessons to be learned there as you go. You have an in-game scout, you have a pre-scout, and then you have an in-game scout. And we didn't really stop the bleeding in that area. So it's good to be able to identify those issues now so we can maybe correct them and avoid that in the future.
And another challenging week for Sun Devil women's basketball. Oklahoma State on Wednesday night at Desert Financial, then a road trip to Baylor for a nationally televised game on FS1. We'll tell you more about that in the final segment, and it just the challenges continue. But so does the great stuff on this show. We've got guests coming up, and we'll introduce you to a couple of them right after this break on the Sun Devil Radio Network. Back we go with another segment of In the Huddle with Molly Miller, your weekly look inside Arizona State women's basketball. I'm Jeff Munn, and as promised, two of our outstanding Sun Devil student athletes join us now in this segment, and they are, you can go ahead and keep clapping. I'm fine with that. But let me tell you who they are first. We welcome to this program Sun Devil forward Makayla Moore and Sun Devil guard Gabby Elliott. Welcome. It's nice to see you both.
Yeah, nice seeing you too.
I got to start with you, Makayla. Tell us about the little story that you left on the chairs for the players before the Territorial Cup game.
Well, it definitely is a story. I mean, we only have 3 returners coming back from last year, and everyone's new, even the coaching staff. So I just thought I might as well share the history of this Territorial Cup, of this rival. And it goes beyond football. It goes beyond men's basketball. I think women's basketball is one of the critical parts of this whole rivalry. And we've been battling at it for over 70 plus years. It goes beyond sports. It goes to the actual universities fighting against each other. So I was just really fired up about this whole rivalry. I wanted the girls to be just as fired up as I was last year. We dropped 2 of them. Can't happen again. I wanted this year to be completely different. Obviously it is with the new coaching staff. Obviously it is with the girls we brought in, this whole program. Everything else is just completely different. So I wanted this rivalry to be a new start, a new fresh start. And so I thought I might as well give a little history lesson to the girls, and I hope they enjoyed it.
Well, it obviously worked. It was a big part of the win over Arizona. How did you feel about it?
Honestly, walking into the locker room, first impression is like the coaches then printed up something. So you look at it, you read it, you're like, okay, I didn't know that. Especially like she said, I'm new here. This is my first year, first few months. Don't get me wrong, the community and the support has been great since I've gotten here. But I've only heard about the rivalry. I've never played in it until I have. But so it's crazy. We're literally sitting there, I think pregame, and Coach Molly is like, wait a minute, who printed these papers? And so everybody's like, wait, what are you talking about? We thought y'all printed them. So everybody looking around, and Makayla's like, me. So just to know how much she cares about it as a returner, just really just embody what the game meant more than, it's bigger than us. And I've been saying that the whole time. But just for her to do that as a returner, just embody that for sure.
Yeah, and the other thing about it, and we're speaking with Makayla Moore and Gabby Elliott on this week's edition of In the Huddle with Molly Miller. The other thing about it, there's 2 aspects to it. Number one, obviously, you're hurt at the moment, Makayla. You can't get on the floor. So I think it's a terrific way for you to contribute to your team's effort that night.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's just so many things you can do when you're hurt. You can cheer louder. You can be the best teammate possible. And that was me being the best teammate possible. That was me encouraging my teammates and showing them what this rivalry means. I mean, anyone can want to beat another team, but it's how much do you want to beat a whole program? How much do you want to crush an entire school? And that's what I was trying to do.
That's bulletin board material. How much do you want to crush the other school? Now, to the basketball game itself, it kind of was a roller coaster ride. Mm-hmm. You have a lead at the half. Arizona rallies third quarter. You go into the fourth quarter trailing. But true to the nature of this team, you dug in. You come from behind to get the win, and you had a steal late in the game that was a real key to securing that win. Mm-hmm. Can you take us through that sequence? It moved pretty quick, but I know you were right on top of it.
I mean, just the whole game, we knew it was going to be a battle just because of the rivalry and the history that it has itself. Arizona is a hard-fought team, but they were going to play their toughest game against us no matter what. From the moment the schedule came out, we knew that they were going to play us the hardest. So just knowing that we were down, it's like, okay, we get the timeout. We know we need to stop, and we know whatever they're going to do, they're going to try to get to the basket. You're not really thinking. I really wasn't thinking, but, you playing defense. I will say I was actually watching the game back, and I'm laughing. I'm like, I got my measuring stick. Molly would be proud of me. So stuff like that, it really comes back into fruition. Stuff that we practice and that she preaches on defense really just came back, and being able to secure the game on a game-winning stop instead of a shot is the type of stuff that I know the fans are happy about.
Oh, they were very happy about it, believe me. And the other thing that you've done a lot in close game situations is hit big shots. Mm-hmm. And I love that aspect of your game because I can tell the pressure doesn't get to you. You kind of thrive on it, right?
A little bit, especially I think Coach Molly set us up really well with our schedule at the beginning of the season, playing so many away games in the environments that we played in. It was really unmatched. So playing in environments that I have in the preseason really got me ready for where we are now.
Yeah, Makayla, you talk about the ways you can contribute to your team. Obviously, I'm certain a little bit of it is sharing with your teammates what you see on the floor. I'm not saying that you're trying to be a coach, but do you see things and point them out to your teammates during timeouts or maybe between games?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, personally, in timeouts, I try to keep quiet. I try to let them calm their nerves, especially in the beginning of the game. I don't want to say too much and overwhelm them because I already know the coaches are probably talking to them. They're talking within themselves, especially the starters. I feel like this team is very vocal and they communicate very well. But I always chip in and I'll calm someone, say someone's getting frustrated, someone just got subbed out. It's my job and my responsibility as someone on the bench and as a good teammate to go up to them and make sure they're doing okay and make sure that they know their contribute in their role on the team.
For fans who may not recall, last year Makayla really established herself as not only a tremendous three-point shooter, but as a great rebounder. And that was your strength at Seattle University before you came here. I would think that you probably are very impressed with the way your teammates, in particular, Elle and McKenna Brackens, Eloisa Carrera and McKenna Brackens, have really worked on the boards this year.
Yeah, and I think you could add Deborah Davenport into there too.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, and it's to me, and they always say this in basketball, rebounding is not just a matter of how tall are you. It's the want and the will, and are you willing to work and get in there and dig and block out to make yourself into a great rebounder.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all three of them have this no-quit attitude. You see it in practice. They're always battling on the boards. They're always ultra-physical. And I think that's just a way, I said this last year, but a way to crush a team spirit. Getting that O board and then restarting the shot clock, it's really clutch in the end of the game, and it's clutch for momentum because basketball is a game of runs. So I feel like that will absolutely kill another team's run.
We're with Gabby Elliott and Makayla Moore here on In the Huddle with Molly Miller. I want to take this in another direction defensively, Gabby. There was another play in the Arizona game where you got another in a long line of shot clock violations. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious to know, usually that violation is going to occur out on the perimeter where you're defending a guard or a post player is getting into a little bit of a panic because they're looking up at the clock. You can't see the clock necessarily, but I'm certain there's a clock in your head that's telling you they're running out of time, right?
Yeah. Honestly, that really just comes from our bench as well. You can kind of really start to feel when it's really closing in on them, because that's when even Molly is like, yeah, right there, close out, close out. So stuff like that is really cute to like just the communication that we have. Like, it is definitely a mental clock, because like you feel it. You like, oh yeah, no, we've been here for about 15 seconds, but you can definitely start to feel it close in when the bench is really starting to get rowdy, because by the time Molly is calling it, shot clock is coming real soon. So you can definitely tell from the bench in our communication.
There's a lot of great defensive plays that a team can make, but to me, and either one of you can respond to this, a shot clock violation has to be one of the most satisfying things a team can do on defense, because what you've essentially done is you've denied the other team a good look at the hoop. Either one of you can jump in on that one.
Yeah, I think it just fires up the entire people on the floor and the bench. It fires up the coaches. It's just a way to absolutely demoralize them. They couldn't even get a shot off in, like 20 seconds?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It is fun, isn't it?
No, definitely. That is definitely a momentum changer, game changer, stuff like that, because that goes to the scouting and attests to, the time that you put in on that scout, because that's not just about a first effort or a second. That's a third, fourth, fifth, because, okay, sometimes you expect, we're deep into the season, we're in February, you expect people to take away your first option. Second or third, okay, you did your job. But when you're able to even, stop those other actions, it's like, oh no, this is so crushing. At that point, they are looking at that coach like, what do we do with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we've seen that a number of times. One other thing about the Arizona game last week was the crowd. And that ties in with the whole rivalry, territorial cup. That had to be so much fun for both of you, for your entire team to be involved with.
Oh, definitely. That was like a highlight of my collegiate career for sure. I've been to a number of schools, and I've never played in front of a home crowd, like so involved and so, tied into what was going on the court, even before the game even started. It was just such a hype and conversation around what that game meant, not just to the players, but to the fans. You got people telling me that this is their first year buying ESPN subscriptions and they're buying season tickets next year. Like, that was way bigger than what I could have ever imagined. So that crowd was unforgettable for sure.
And I'm sure you felt it from the bench too, Makayla.
Oh, yeah. It's just a testament for how much our fans care about us, how we have the best fan base in the country.
We sure do.
So thank you, all you guys.
We sure do. And we want to see a whole bunch of them get on that booster bus down to Tucson February 14th,
for
right?
Sure.
Because we want to make certain there are more maroon and gold fans at McHale than there were red and blue in our building last week. Real quick, I was looking at, you and I have done pregame interviews before.
Yeah.
One thing I did not get a chance to talk with you about, and we got about a minute. You said in a Q&A, if you had one sporting event you could attend, you'd go to a boxing match or tennis.
Yeah.
Now, that's interesting. Did you watch the Australian Open?
I watched some of it, not all of it. I'm not going to lie. The best part about that for me right now is like the TikTok highlights.
Okay.
For sure. But I definitely would love to get a chance. Been falling in love with it a lot more recently. Would love to get into some boxing matches, especially back in my city for sure.
Real quick, Makayla, other sports you like watching?
Oh, I love football. Football's a great sport. I think I got that from my dad, so I could watch any football game. Go Hawks in this Super Bowl.
I was just going to say, you came from Seattle University, so it's Seahawks on Sunday, right?
Oh, yeah, Seahawks for sure.
Okay. I have enjoyed this. I thank you for coming on the show this week, and good luck in the rest of the season. And we'll see you on Wednesday night at DFA and Saturday at Baylor.
Yep. Appreciate you so
Thank
much.
you both.
Thank you.
Makayla Moore, Gabby Elliott with us. We have a Sun Devil legend coming up next, the one and only Briann January. That's right after this break on the Sun Devil Radio Network. We're back on In the Huddle with Molly Miller. And I'm so excited to welcome to this program and for all of you to welcome our next guest. She needs no introduction, but she's getting one anyway. She has a number hanging up in Desert Financial Arena. Former Sun Devil. You can applaud that. Go ahead. Former Sun Devil player and assistant coach and WNBA star and now coach, Briann January. Did I get it? I got everything, right?
You checked all the boxes.
Okay. Bree and I go back a ways. I was doing games on the radio when you played, which is just an indication of how old I'm getting. But we have had conversations, you and I, on a couple of occasions. We had one yesterday on the radio pregame. We talked the night of your jersey retirement. So I'm going to probably ask you a few questions that I've asked you in the past. But let me start, first of all, with one we asked on the radio, and maybe our fans didn't hear it.
Okay.
When you saw yourself as a bobblehead, what'd you think?
I mean, it wasn't the worst bobblehead I've seen, so I was happy with that. I've seen some terrible ones, and they did a pretty decent job, so I was happy. But, yeah, no, just an honor to have that, add that to the list of things, of accomplishments, for sure.
And I know you told me you had a lot of family reach out to you and say, I want one.
I know. People were like, I need one. I was like, need is a interesting word choice for the bobblehead, but, yeah, we'll get them taken care of.
Let me take you back, because this is one I don't think I've ever asked you. What got you here?
Oh, man. Here, as in Arizona State?
Yeah. I know it was Charlie, but...
I was about to say, she sat in my living room, and I was like, yep. There
Yeah.
we go. Yeah, I mean, she's amazing. Through the whole recruiting process, just kind of narrowing down my options, our conversations, when we just talked hoops, I could tell she had an extreme passion for the game. She poured into her players. I was fortunate enough to have some AAU teammates who were here: Emily Westerberg, Reagan Paraso, Aubrey Johnson. Yes, all Sun Devils that were here before I got here. So I was able to talk to them and talk to them about their experience. And once I came out here, it felt like home.
And Charlie, of course, is Charlie Turner Thorne. And I want to get into the coaching end of it in a minute. But you're going to be asked anytime you come here about memorable games. You were on two teams that went to the Elite Eight, 2007, 2009. This sounds funny. The thing that I always remember, if somebody says, give me a Briann January moment, it's 2007 when you got hurt in L.A. in the first round of the tournament.
Angel McCautry, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
was
no,
it
no,
again?
no, no, no.
It was
the
Riverside.
concussion. Yes, I remember that
the
one.
concussion.
Yep.
And we faced Angel McCautry in Louisville the next game.
Mm-hmm.
And you did play in that game, right?
Yep.
And I always have said this, your toughness, and look, coming back after hitting your head 48 hours later, I hit my head a couple of years ago in Corvallis, and I wasn't speaking clear sentences for like 4 or 5 days. So that's a real testament to your toughness.
Yeah, it probably had some kind of effect, but we're here. we made it.
But those two teams in particular, 07, 09, that has to be the highlight.
Oh, 100%. I mean, one of my favorite ASU moments was the Bowling Green game, and I was out. That was the one right after. So, like, I had to sit out with the concussion. We came out. Kurt Miller, who's been in the WNBA now for a while, was coaching that team. They were all hyped up. I saw them during warm-ups because, we were down a player. They were ready to, take it to us. We came out and just I'm going to watch my language. We kicked their butt, okay? We just ran them. And it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and it's still to this day my favorite basketball memory, and I wasn't even on the court.
Yeah, it was in the Sweet 16 in Greensboro. The other one that I remember, it was 2 years later in the same round against Texas A&M.
Oh.
There's a little side story. I'll try to tell this quick. Gary Blair, who's just a really nice man. In fact, Texas A&M's on TV right now, and the court's named after him.
Yep.
It was us against Texas A&M and UConn against Cal in the other game. The day before the two games, Gary Blair's in the press conference room. You weren't there. Yeah. Steve Rodriguez and I were in the back. All he talked about for the whole press conference was UConn. And at one point, I turned to Steve and I said, "Does he know who he's playing tomorrow?" And Steve looked at me and said, "I don't think so." But by about the middle of the third quarter, you had them so flustered I think they were really good at playing zone, and they had to, or either they man,
No.
and they had to get out of it and go to zone because they kept getting into foul trouble.
Exactly. Vic Schaefer, Gary Blair had that team playing tremendous defense. That's what Vic is all about. And we came up and we ran a master class against them on the defensive end. We just shut them down.
Yeah, and it was so much fun to watch that. It was all the way back in Trenton, New Jersey, if you can believe that, at an old hockey arena that they couldn't get the temperature in the building right. It was freezing cold on Sunday when we played Texas A&M, and it was boiling hot when we played UConn 2 nights later.
Yeah, that's the reason we lost that game.
That's right.
I'm going to blame it on the temperature.
Right. Yeah, we'll blame it on the temperature in the building. Okay. Playing career ends. You had a long career in the WNBA, which included time here in Phoenix with the Mercury. Coaching. Did Charlie reach out to you, or did you reach out to her?
She reached out to me. I think a couple years prior, we talked about it. We check in every once in a while. And I knew I was on the back end of my career, and we were just talking about post-career options, what I might be interested in, da-da-da-da-da. And I think I was overseas, and she randomly reached out, and she's like, "Are you ready?" And I was like, "Ready for what?" And she's like, "To coach." And I was like, "Actually, this is the perfect time." And I was still playing, and I was able to take a season off of the overseas, and so I was able to do both. And it honestly was the best decision I made because it really laid the foundation for me as a coach, just seeing what goes into it, how to prepare, how to lead your team, and it was great.
I know you feel fortunate that you've had a chance to work with some really great head coaches, both at the college and pro level. You were with Mike Tebow in Connecticut, right?
No.
Or am I getting the name?
I was with Steph White in Connecticut.
And then when she went to Indiana, she took you with her. And that Steph White is an amazing head coach.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. Both her and Charlie are just, I don't know, they're just masterful at getting the most out of their players and just connecting and building those relationships and knowing how to push their players and, like I said, get the most out of them. And so for me to be able to coach with both of them and just watch how they lead, it's been priceless. And I attribute my career to both of them, just teaching me how to be a pro, how to attack the game, how to see the game. Just very fortunate to have both of them in my life.
In Indiana, obviously, a lot of attention, and you and I talked about this yesterday, is on Caitlin Clark for obvious reasons. But there's so much more talent on that Indiana roster, including a player that many of our fans here are familiar with, Sophie Cunningham.
Yeah.
And so I would think it's understandable the attention Caitlin gets, but there's so much more to that Fever team than just Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, for sure. And, Caitlin is, the centerpiece for a reason. She works her butt off. She's a great player, great teammate. But if any of you followed the WNBA season, unfortunately, we had to do it without Sophie and without Caitlin for a majority of it. And our players stepped up. It was really special. We really focused on building a culture of next man up in our locker room and to stay locked in and stay ready. And whoever we called up, they stayed ready, and they took us to the semis. We pulled people off of their couches and we were getting it done. So that's just a tribute to the culture we had and the players. We have leading the way, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hall. Those are young stars that are on the way up, and their upside is far from reached, and that's exciting.
Well, you didn't just get to the semis. You pushed Las Vegas pretty hard, and meanwhile, the Mercury were getting Minnesota out of the way. Was there a part of you that was kind of like, okay, if we win, let it be Phoenix?
We kind of struggled with Phoenix the whole year. That it's about matchups, and I'm not going to lie, we did struggle with them. And for us in that moment, you focus on your opponent.
Right.
You can't look ahead, or else you're going to be sent home. So we were focused on Vegas. We were focused on taking them down, which I think we were about 15 seconds and one foul away from going to the finals. But I think that appearance was a great experience for our young ones, and now that they got a taste, they know what it takes to be successful.
We're talking with former Sun Devil Briann January, and I'm not going to let you go without talking about the current team. And I know you and I conversed about this on Sunday. I see so many similarities in the current Sun Devils. And I mentioned to Molly, when I watch Gabby Elliott play, I see a lot of Briann January in her. Toughness. And I know how impressed you are with what this team is doing this year.
Oh, 100%. And, I mean, you spoke on it with Molly, you spoke on it with the girls, but there's just no quit to this team. You know, you've seen that in multiple games. They play hard. They play for each other. And it's really exciting. You know, it's good to see that energy back here in Arizona State. And I'm really excited to see where they go because I think, you know, they have potential to really do some damage.
Were you one of those sending Molly text messages before the Territorial Cup?
No. I don't want to bother her. But you better believe I was tracking it, and I was really excited when they got the win.
Yeah, we all were. And it is so great to see you. Congratulations on the bobblehead. It is an honor, and you deserve it.
Thank you.
And the best of luck to you, whatever your coaching future is, and especially this summer with the Fever.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. It's great to see you.
You're
Best
great
to the
as
family.
always. Yes, thank you.
Briann January with us. We're back with Coach Miller for our final segment after this on the Sun Devil Radio Network. Back with our final segment of In the Huddle with Molly Miller, and along with the coach, I'm Jeff Munn. We tape this show on Mondays at Blanco Cocina and Cantina, and everybody who comes to this show has a great time. Right, crowd?
They're
Thank
awesome.
you. They are awesome. And the crowd is going to help us with a brand new segment on the show called Ask Molly. Before we came on the air, we invited fans here at Blanco, and you need to come down to Blanco on Mondays at 6 and participate in this, and ask them to ask questions of the coach. And we picked out a couple that we'll go ahead and pose to Coach Molly right now. And I'll start at the top. I'm going to read this the way this was written.
Verbatim? Okay.
Yeah, it might get me into a little bit of trouble. Coach Molly, girlfriend, how do you stay down? How do you stay down low for so long wearing those fabulous heels? My knees would be killing me. I didn't say that. That was written by somebody else. Who? Did Rhonda write that? I don't have the name on here. Thank you, Rhonda. You got me in all kinds of trouble reading that verbatim. But go ahead.
All right, girlfriend. I guess it's adrenaline. I don't know. You know, we don't dress up for away games, but I kind of want home games to feel different and be excited because I'm in a ponytail and sweats. That's the beauty of my job. I get to show up in a T-shirt and be on the court. So game day feels a little different. I like its little expression of fashion, which I can appreciate. But the heels, that's just all adrenaline. And, well, I think I wear them, too, because it's more attention grabbing when I stomp them. Facilities probably doesn't like that I'm leaving my mark, but, you know, I can get the girls' attention when I'm stomping in my heels.
You can get the referee's attention, too, right?
More importantly, the officials.
Exactly. Now, this next question, I don't have the name for it, so it ties in with what we were just talking about. You got a lot of attention Wednesday about the coat.
Oh, yeah, my blazer. Yeah, that was sent to me by a company called Moving Forward, and they have some Arizona State branded apparel. So I thought, what a better time to use it than during the rivalry, and have had some fun packages sent. Shout out Adidas. Our Adidas rep does a great job of keeping me fly in all the Adidas gear and the Harden new gear. This has been fun to wear. So, yeah, I've definitely gotten some fun hookups.
Well, that was our next question. Who's your fashion wardrobe designer? And Coach just told us. Now, the last question for the Ask Molly segment comes from Rich. Just happened to notice that the team arrives 5 hours before a game to the arena. What preparation occurs during those 5 hours?
Oh, well, not the whole 5 hours we're there. So you'll have a shoot-around slot. So that's just an hour, and you'll basically do last scout preparation. So if we play a 2 o'clock game, that's usually at 9 o'clock. So they're arriving at 9 o'clock. That goes 9 to 10. And then we'll have a pregame team meal. And then they have some free time. They're required to get here about 2 hours before game time to get their any prep that they need, any massage therapy they need, any PT, any rehab, and then about 90 minutes on the clock before tip is when they'll start doing their pregame routine, getting warmed up. We'll do some positional work, and then at 60 minutes we'll do stretching, and then we'll have team warm up. So they're not there the whole 5 hours. I'm guessing those 3 hours in between they do a little cat nap.
Yeah.
My guess.
That would be understandable.
Not that I would know from experience as a player either. That's
Yeah.
like perfect nap time.
Well, those are the questions for this week, and thank you all. You give yourself a round of applause. Those were great questions. We'll do that again on future shows. And Rhonda, you just got me in all kinds of trouble on a future football pregame because Sean Crespin's going to rerun me asking that question. It's a guarantee. All right. Let's focus in on this weekend. You're going to a building you actually have some experience in recently, right?
Yeah, it was it's kind of ironic how it all worked out. You know, last year at Grand Canyon, I played 3 Big 12 teams in Arizona State, Arizona, and then we played Baylor in the first round. So a building I'm pretty familiar with. Going to Waco is a little bit of a trek, but I'm excited to get back there. They've got a pretty good fan base, good facilities. So that's going to be another one that, I've had circled for a little while.
Yeah, and statistically, and I realize statistics don't tell the entire story of a team, but statistically, they do a lot of things really well.
A lot of things. They're really good in transition. They set a lot of drag screens. Nikki's from the W, so they run a lot of pro sets, some elbow series, some pick and roll, 2-man game stuff. So they've got not a huge playbook, but they're very efficient. And obviously, Talia Scott is one of the best guards in the country. So she's a handful to deal with. And they're really good, like I said, in transition, offensive efficiently. But they play both sides of the ball. So their defense is going to it's caused some teams some fits. They pressure. They get after it. They've got pride on the rebounding end. Little Paige Buggs, who we played last year, is like a walking double-double machine.
Yeah.
And she's a senior this year. And then Bella Fauntleroy, who actually went to my high school, Kickapoo High School. She went way after I went to school, but there's a little connection there that we had fun talking about last year. So some familiarity.
Yeah, and you touched on this. Even though in this day and age of the portal and what have you, the rosters change dramatically year to year, the system doesn't. So what Nikki Collin is running at Baylor, even though the players changed, you have a little familiarity with the sets that she runs.
Yeah, last year, they're not running as many sets. They're letting Talia do a little bit on her own, making plays. So it's going to be a team basketball approach, though, for sure, because they've got a bunch of weapons on the floor and then an all-star, a draft pick. And that's been the story of a couple of these teams we've played. You've got to shut down their best players and make someone else beat you, and that's going to be another story against Baylor.
Yeah, and that game will be Saturday. It starts at 4 o'clock here back home in Arizona. We'll be on the air on the radio at 3:30 on KDUS AM 1060, 100.7 FM HD Channel 2, the KDUS app, and KDUS.com. And if you promise to keep the TV sound turned down, I'll tell you that the game will be on FS1, which is kind of cool. I mean, to be on a national channel. I realize ESPN Plus is available everywhere, but it is kind of different to be on FS1.
Yeah, some more exposure, and that's what great. Even seeing Bree, at the W, there's a bridge right now that's happening in women's basketball. There's more agency, there's more exposure, there's more opportunities now with the expansion, with Unrivaled breaking records in attendance. There's just more opportunity. So that's a great opportunity for us to expose our brand and get more people hooked.
Yeah, and look, let's be honest. Women's sports in general is setting records everywhere on television. You think about the way volleyball has grown, softball. Just every year at the College World Series in Oklahoma City, they just break TV records left and right. And the same thing with the women's basketball tournament.
Yeah, I think it's important to tune in. It's a pure game, the women's game. I've always thought that it's a pure teamwork-driven, goal-oriented. Really beautiful game in all women's sports. So the fact that even our volleyball team had a record attendance this year, that shows you that if you watch, people are getting interested, and the more exposure we can have, it's a great brand. And that's what we want from the women's side on our basketball brand, to be showcased and for people to enjoy and appreciate the way these teams are playing the right way. And like I said, there's a team aspect there that's really pure.
A couple of things about what we talked about, or what you mentioned in the first segment about we're kind of getting into the real grind portion of the schedule. Does it change how you approach games in terms of practice, even on a shoot-around game day? Do you kind of have to pull back a little bit?
You have to know your team. You have to have a pulse on your team. I think we've got a pretty good one. You know, we've got some kids that are playing heavy minutes, and we need to be aware. We still want them hungry to play those minutes, not walking into a game like, whew, I got to muster up 32 minutes tonight. But we talked about that today. You know, we've got 9 guaranteed games left. We have 8 regular season and 1 guaranteed in the tournament. That's 360 minutes. You know, if you play 40 minutes a game, which probably not going to happen, that's 360 minutes. That's 6 hours of meaningful basketball.
Yeah.
So, you know, I said it early in the segment, you can't let March tears be from February mistakes or February regret. So February is where teams go one of two directions, and we've got to lock in and focus. And I'm excited for this team. We gotta crawl before we walk and walk before we run. But I'll tell you, our staff is already doing a marathon. Like we want that right now and that instant gratification. But we also know that this is a growth mindset. Really proud of this team, and we want to get it back to the Briann January glory days. And I'm so thankful that she's been around. You know, when you're trying to build a culture, you want people like Bree involved, and you want them to feel ownership. You want them to come back. And we didn't have a connection before the Sun Devil connection brought us together, and now we're family. And that's the cool thing about sport, is it just naturally happens that way. So when you're trying to revive something and put this program back to its rightful place, you want Bree around. You want Promise around, who was on the radio show last week. So, you know, that's my opportunity to welcome with open arms, and I hope they feel like this place is their home, and they always have a home, and they're always invited, because they're now special to me, and we're excited we're going to do this thing together.
Absolutely, and it's so cool, and I know that, and you just mentioned getting to know Bree a little bit. She's such a quality person, too.
Yeah, why wouldn't you want her around the program when you're building it? She's amazing, and she's got a lot of, obviously, X's and O's and basketball knowledge, but I walk in my building every day and see her face on the side of the wall. She means something to this program. Those foundational pieces that she and others have laid are so important for us to continue on, and I'm excited that this team is embracing that. It's great that our girls have got to meet some alums that are so near and dear to the program, and that's just going to continue year after year. Absolutely.
So it is on to Baylor. There is a rematch with Utah next week here. As we said in the opening segment, there's not that much basketball left, but every one of them is huge.
It is, especially in this conference. It's crazy. This conference is crazy. So, you know, you can drop a game, and then you can go win a big one, and conversations change every day. We're excited for the opportunity. We're excited for the challenge. Our girls will be ready for it. I think there's a precision focus right now on our goals that go game to game, and you know, we've got to make the right decisions and do the right things when it comes to rehab and hydration and nutrition. All those things matter right now, because that can be your edge.
Absolutely. Coach, appreciate it. We'll catch up with you next week on the show, and we'll see you in Waco on Saturday.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Head coach Molly Miller with us. Thank you all for being with us here at Blanco. Thank you for being with us on the radio and TV. And until next week, for head coach Molly Miller, I'm Jeff Munn. Thanks for tuning in to In the Huddle with Molly Miller, a presentation of the Sun Devil Radio Network.